And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this late edition of Australian Indian Radio's Daily Life Update, brought to you by Gentex Multimedia Live Streaming Services. Well, today is a wonderful day, 21 degrees and mostly sunny in Brisbane. Well, that is wonderful, wonderful news. And don't forget that at 10 a.m. we have the real estate update with Usha Chandra. Well, right now in this short segment, because we'll be running out of time otherwise, the talk of the town is the budget. And so our Premier SE has been announcing what can we expect in this budget. We're ready.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Well, today we are delivering a traditional Labor budget focusing on health, education and housing. I believe that no matter where Queenslanders live, they have the right to have good, decent health facilities, to make sure that their children have the opportunity to get the schools and the education that they deserve, and that people have the opportunity to get a roof over their head. So this budget is a traditional Labor budget focusing on what Queenslanders need. And Queensland is roaring back. You cannot hold a Queenslander down, and the Queensland economy is coming back bigger, stronger and faster than any of us could have expected. I know that Queenslanders have worked really hard, especially during these unprecedented times of the global pandemic. And it's absolutely crucial that because of our strong health response, it has enabled our economy to recover faster, and that has enabled a strong economic response. Our economy is growing bigger than it was before the pandemic, 12 times stronger than expected, double the national growth rate. Household spending faster than the rest of Australia, dwelling approvals faster than the rest of Australia. And not only is debt down, we are on track for a surplus in 2024. And I know the Treasurer is very pleased about that fact. The first state in Australia to do so. And of course, we're continuing with our big expenditure on the roads, the rail, the infrastructure that is needed right across Queensland, with 61% of our capital spend in regional Queensland. Queensland is a big state, it's a growing state, and we need to cater for all of that. Our health budget will include, of course, our 7 new satellite hospitals. It will include expansions and redevelopments in Caboolture, Ipswich, Cairns, Atherton, Thursday Island, Serena, Mer Island, Gold Coast, Hervey Bay and Maryborough, plus also upgraded infrastructure in areas such as Camberwell, St George, Morven, Charleville, Blackwater, Windora, Mowra and Woorabinda. This is a big state. And in education, we'll have a record budget, $18.3 billion, including 10 new schools, 5 in the Ipswich area, 3 in Logan, 1 in Redland Bay and another on the Sunshine Coast. We've already announced our signature $2 billion renewable energy fund, making sure that we can achieve our 50% renewable energy target by 2030. We're backing Queenslanders. This budget is about jobs, ensuring that no matter where you live, our children get the skills and training they need to get good, decent, secure jobs. And we're bringing manufacturing back to Queensland as well. Housing is incredibly important, and I'm so pleased that this traditional Labor budget we will have $1.9 billion for social housing, adding more than 6,000 homes. This is incredibly important. There is a lot of housing stress out there. We have listened to what people are saying, and we will build the necessary housing. Over $6 billion in concessions for cheaper electricity, rent and transport, and another signature item, $300 million to support the path to treaty. We want to make sure that the funding is there and that it is properly resourced, because we believe that this is very important to the people, our First Nations people. And finally, I might end on this note before handing over to the Treasurer. Queensland is on the verge of also securing the world's biggest event. And no one should underestimate this. Queensland's time to shine is now, and next month we could be the home of the 2032 Olympics. This gives Queensland and families and our children across all of our schools hope. And over the last 12 months of dealing with COVID and this pandemic, I think it's wonderful to have something to look out towards the horizon, as our golden days are well and truly ahead of us. Thank you. Treasurer.
Thanks, Premier. This budget delivers a dividend to Queenslanders for their strength and resilience in responding to COVID-19. A dividend of more health funding, a dividend of more housing, a dividend of more jobs, and a dividend of returning to surplus. Queensland was the first mover going into COVID-19 with our strong health response and also our support for business and industry. Now we are the first mover coming out of COVID-19, maintaining our role as the best place to be in Australia. And we are sending that message to the rest of Australia and to the world. So this is the best place to be, to live, to work and to raise a family.
The best place to live and raise a family, work, of course, Queensland. Well done, Queensland, of delivering that budget. And as the Premier mentioned, it is a traditional and a typical Labor budget, and which is focusing on jobs and economy and moving forward. And that wonderful news of the 2032 Olympics coming here. We just, not too far away from the official announcement, and I think everyone's eagerly waiting for that, even though it looks like that we are the ones who are going to get there. Well, right now, let's go to UK and join our Prime Minister.
Are you going to get a deal, Prime Minister? After years of talk, the deal was done over a dinner at Downing Street. Australia wanted this, but politically it's much more important for the credibility of a pro-Brexit British Prime Minister. The first agreement the UK's negotiated from scratch since leaving the European Union.
This is the most comprehensive and ambitious agreement that Australia has concluded.
It'll see restrictions on working visas relaxed, with the age limit on working holiday visas increased to 35. Australian lamb, beef and sugar are likely to be exported into Britain in greater volumes, and winemakers are also a winner, with tariffs cut. There have been collateral damage amid the deepening diplomatic tensions with Beijing.
Ever since the China market went bust, we've been hoping that the UK can take over.
Farming groups are concerned the agreement will exempt about 10,000 British backpackers each year from spending 3 months in the rural sector.
We've been talking to the government about the workforce shortages in agriculture for too long now.
But it's hoped a new agricultural visa for UK citizens will help ensure producers won't be left short. Australian negotiators were keenly aware of how much this first deal means to Boris Johnson's vision of a new global Britain, and were in no mood to rush talks or to give in to demands. Ministers say it is a good deal, though some are playing down the overall economic gains.
When you put it into context, we're exporting $730 million to the UK and exporting nearly $50 billion everywhere else around the world.
It's been nearly 50 years since the UK devastated farmers in its old colonies by turning to Europe, a decision which forced Australian exporters to find their fortunes in Asia. Downing Street now wants a slice of that pie and hopes this deal will help it do plenty more across our broader region. James Glenday, ABC News, Canberra.
That is good news that we will be exporting more wine and probably getting more scotch from UK to Australian shores. So, of course, we know that China has been a big importer of Australian wine, and with that deal going a little bit sour, I think it will bounce back. But right now, UK to the rescue, and they will buy our wine, and because Australia does produce some of the best wines in the world. Well, right now, following on with all the things and the protocols and the traditions, as we know, Queen is very focused on maintaining protocols and everything. So let's see how our Prime Minister behaves when he meets her.
The Prime Minister of Australia, Your Majesty.
It's very nice to see you. In person this time.
Yes, Your Majesty. It's wonderful to see you.
Come over here and then they want to take a photograph.
That'd be lovely.
So you were down there, but I didn't see you in Cornwall.
No, that was just the G7 members. We had
You were just
we were an extension partner, as they call them. But you were quite the hit. Everyone was talking about you at dinner the next night.
Oh Lord, were they ready?
They were thrilled to see you.
Well,
And
and of course, it is always a wonderful gesture there, and the Prime Minister doing the best he can. Of course, the new thing that we've been talking about is this agriculture visa. This has been something which has been discussed many times, and right here on this show, I think we were discussing with another politician was, one of the Greens candidate as well, was that Australia has vast land. Like they say, we have got boundless plains to share. But what's actually happening on those plains? Are we putting that to good use? Australia can produce and feed, a fairly good a portion of this world. But our problem is having not the expertise, but it's the labor force. It's having the manpower to do those kind of farming. If we can find out a way of doing that. Of course, there are many countries in this world where people are willing to come and work. UK being one, where this agriculture visa has been granted for, but not other countries. So this will be something which can be looked at, a model that can be looked at in going further, in progressing the nation is, of course, our manufacturing sector is not doing very well, and it will be hard for the manufacturing sector to compete on a world market because other countries with the labor market, labor force, and the industrialization of their policies are quite hard for Australia to compete with. But one of the fields where we can do very well, we have the expertise, we've got the land, all we need is manpower. Manpower with a special visa provision can be brought in from overseas, and people will come, they will all be willing to come and spend their time. And of course, refugees and other people who are coming in, they can all, contribute to this farming. If we are able to produce, as we know, today people are very much focused on environment and eating good, clean food and all those kind of things. So, and the number of vegetarians is growing. And even though people might not be 100% or pure vegetarians, but the intake of veggies and other food is, people are becoming more health conscious. So let's take a look at this agriculture visa.
It will be totally demand-driven ultimately, as it is now. As people move between the countries, it's a very easy arrangement currently. Prior to COVID, with the way visas are issued, going between both countries, there's a great opportunity though for young people from both the United Kingdom and Australia to move and operate and work in different countries. That builds the capacity, I think, of both countries with that easy engagement. I mean, collaboration is so critical in so many fields, and a shared experience of each other's societies and economies is a good thing. So we go into this boldly and confidently, and it's a great opportunity for people of both countries. It's been happening for a very long time, and now it will continue. And in Australia, it means that we'll be moving forward on an agricultural visa as well. That is something that I've had a positive view on for some time. We look forward to that occurring, and that will provide other opportunities when it comes to our agricultural workforce. One of the big challenges we have, particularly in COVID, is when there's such restriction on movements of people. We need to meet those workforce challenges to ensure our primary producers, in particular, can make the most of the linear agreement we've agreed here today.
Yeah, and I can just say, I'm personally the beneficiary of Australian willingness to welcome young people to Australia, and I know that this whole country benefits from having Australians come to the UK. So, I think there will be a healthy flow, but I don't think you need to worry about, a brain drain either way. I think we've got...
Brain gain for both.
Brain gain, that's right. Thank you. Well done, Scott. Okay.
When the Prime Minister was talking about the agriculture sector and that it's been discussed many times, I remember we were on a online forum, and that was one of the things that I put forward as well at the time. What I just said before about that sector which has been neglected, and which a sector which we can look at. Well, our finishing of story for today is that good news about the Billawilla asylum seekers and the family as they are reunited.
A final farewell after 2 years detained on Christmas Island.
This process me happy again.
A father and daughter boarding a flight headed for the mainland, and a family reunion. 4-year-old Tarnika was rushed to a Perth hospital 8 days ago, seriously ill with pneumonia and sepsis.
Priya, she's been telling Tarnika for, a week now, you are going to see your papa again.
Her plight bringing sharp public focus to the Tamil family's protracted fight to stay in Australia.
Everyone has compassion towards the two children and the two beautiful little girls in this family.
They're looking forward to some freedom.
But not unrestricted freedom. They'll be in community detention in Perth, not their adopted Queensland home, where residents have long campaigned to bring them back.
I've said all along I'm not resting until their feet are on the soil here in Billawilla.
Though Tarnika and sister Kopika were born in Australia, their parents Nadez and Priya arrived by boat and have not been found to be refugees, which has left the government resistant to permanent resettlement.
If the people smugglers see a weakening in the border protection stance of Australia, they will restart the trade.
It doesn't mean the boats will continue. We just need to move on and not make an example of these children.
Government MPs are split on how to handle the case. One warning the coalition party room today it could open a Pandora's box.
Why won't the government let this family go home to Billow?
I will not be lectured to by Labor, who under their watch put 8,500 children in detention. 8,500 in detention.
The government's been at times incoherent on where it stands on the Murugappan family, seemingly unsure how to balance a hardline border policy against a desire to show compassion. The Immigration Minister now says he'll consider allowing Tarnika to make a protection claim, which, if successful, could allow the whole family to stay in Australia. Andrew Probyn, ABC News, Canberra.
Councillor Angela Owen, and it's with great pleasure once again that I throw my support behind India Day Fair to be held this year on the 15th of August at Suncorp Piazza at South Bank in Brisbane. This is for many years, and it is wonderful to know that it is continuing and growing from strength to strength.